Well, it wasn't an easy decision to go ahead with the garden suite because a bit of background, we had just completed a renovation, and to embark upon another project was not number one on my list. I wanted a little break, but then we thought about it and realized that there were some real advantages to having a garden suite. The flexibility would give us in terms of providing some accommodation for a family member, possible rental income down the road, or even a place that we might move into later on in our lives, overcame my initial resistance to embark upon yet another project, and also to spend that much money at this stage in life. We're not in our 20s, and it was not a simple decision to make. But after looking at all the options, we decided it did make sense, and decided to go ahead with it.
I called and emailed a lot of places, left my information, and I found Metrosuite on the Instagram feed. They responded within 24 hours of my leaving a message, which was amazing. And even now, the others have not responded at all. So I thought at the time, I got to the point working with Metrosuite, I thought, well, there's no point in looking for anyone else. If the other companies were still in sort of the honeymoon phase, if they can't be bothered to call me back, what kind of a response am I going to get if there's an issue later? Whereas with Metrosuite, every time I called, left a message, I got a message back, I got a response back, I got a visit back. I thought, yeah, this is a company I can work with. So that's how we decided on Metrosuite.
I've got a quick answer.
Okay, and I've got a longer one. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, the quick answer is having just completed a renovation that took more than a year, and as anybody's done a major renovation, that can be a somewhat painful process, even if the end product at the end is wonderful. But the idea of a modular build, the timeline was so much shorter, it was just seemed the best way to go.
Yeah. So I just want to add to that. When we were looking into the major renovation for the main house, I had also looked at prefab, modular type prefab, but just because of the limitations of the size of our property, it didn't work. But I realized that prefab was a wonderful way to go. All the mess was somewhere else in a factory, not necessarily on site. The specifications, because there are people working right there inspecting what the work is being done, I realized that the quality of the product was going to be really, really high. And it didn't matter if it was rainy, if somebody was sick, if it was freezing out, if it was mosquito season. I realized that the product was always going to be the same. And the machine that they have, for example, for cutting the lumber, it was going to be so precise that lumber was always going to be that length. And so I thought, why not? Why not? And it was going to be so much quicker. So yeah, prefab was, for us, a big advantage. So in the short term, well, we have a son in the basement. He has been there doing, what do they call those, virtual lectures for university since COVID, and we really need to get him out of the basement. So he wants to do a master's degree, and I don't want to see him in the basement anymore, and who knows what's coming next. So this was ideal. So for the short term, he will move in here. He will get the space that he needs, the quiet that he needs to do his studies. And yeah, a little selfishly, I still get to see him because he's in my yard. So that's the short term. In the medium term, we have 5 children. So somebody, I think after our son moves out, there will be somebody who will be able to use this. And if they've all got their own places, because boomerang children, once they've got their own places, we can always rent it until we're ready to move in, if that becomes what we want to do.
Yeah, just gives us so much flexibility.
It was a really smooth, really easy process. So as I said before, whenever I had a question, I would email it or text message, and I would get a response really, really quickly. Sometimes it was a response by text message, just to acknowledge that they got the message and they'd come back. Sometimes it would be like just actually a site visit. It was really, really good. Yes, we have this, so I thought, new industry, new company, we were going to have emails flying back and forth. But no, they've actually already established something called, maybe you know better than I do, some software called Copilot. It's amazing because everything gets posted to Copilot. Even when I don't really know how to use Copilot that well, I send an email. The people I email to, they will post it to Copilot. And so there's a record of everything, and there are photos of the building in process, so that there was information about what the yard looked like before, because they were going to replace it exactly the way it was. So it was really, really good, really smooth, really easy. And you would think that during the beginning part, sure, honeymoon phase, I'm going to get good service, but no, it's been consistently amazingly good. I highly recommend this process. It was so easy.
Well, one of the attractions was that the price was all inclusive. So that included getting the building permits, taking care of all that paperwork. When we did our major renovation, it was during COVID, and the paperwork and everything, committee of adjustment, was a necessary but not necessarily enjoyable experience. So an all-inclusive package was very attractive to us. And at the same time, what I appreciated is that when we had questions, or if there was something that perhaps needed to be tweaked, that Metrosuite was more than willing to sit down and say, how can we make this work for you? So
yes, everything was included. So when I was given the price, we had just finished, as we said earlier, we had just finished renovating the main house. And so they had said, yes, this is included, but we found out that you really did need to have that big 20% budget buffer. And so I was admittedly a little suspicious. Sorry about that. I was a little suspicious. So I was asking, are appliances included? Yes. Even the washer dryer? Yes. What about getting the utilities all connected? Yes. Well, how about, so in our main house, the cabinet doors, the handles were not included. What about cabinet doors? Yes. So I pressed so hard. So finally, the person I was talking to, his eyes were flicking back and forth, and he said, well, the bathroom mirror is not included. So the bathroom mirror is not included. You know, winners, Wayfair, here I come. I think I can figure that one out. It was quite funny. I tried not to laugh out loud, but I was really quite relieved. And true to his word, everything has been included. So all the permits, the surveys, I don't know what else, everything. So the only time I was kind of bothered was he would say, here's an email, could you please authorize Hydro to come and do something? And I would click a digital signature and it was done. Oh, so relaxed. So yeah, everything was included, yeah. I should have asked for a cup of tea, but yeah, everything was included.
You've got to be kidding. Why would anybody do that?
We had just finished, as we said earlier, we had just finished the renovation on the main house. And although we had a general contractor, there were still times when we felt like we were supervising the general contractor, and that really wasn't what we wanted to do. We realized when we looked at some of the do-it-yourself kits or some of the other places that yes, we could get a kit delivered, but it was just the shell of a house once you found someone to put it together. So just because you bought the kit, it doesn't mean that it's permitted, that it's going to be allowable for the space that you have. You still have to put in all the appliances, all the electricity, the wiring, the conduits for all the utilities, and the insulation, and all that had to be inspected, and everything has a different rule. Who knew that electrical wires had to be so far apart for electrical switches and outlets? Like, really? I don't want to have to learn everybody's trade to be able to supervise whether or not it was done correctly. So sure, I mean, if I was doing a bunkie in a cottage where all I wanted to do was to put up some drywall and hang electrical battery lanterns, sure, but for something in my yard like this, no, I don't.
Yeah,
that was not where we want.
Yeah, DIY would be great for a shed.
Yeah, not in my wheelhouse. See, I know how to say that.